Congressman Jamie Raskin, Democrat of Maryland, and the ranking member on the House Judiciary Committee. He and 15 other committee Democrats have demanded that Attorney General Pam Bondi release any mention of Donald Trump in the Justice Department's files on Jeffrey Epstein. So this has been a strange week. I don't know how else to define it. And you are a part of the story, which is also strange. So let me just start by asking you, is it weird to, I guess, be on sort of the same side, at least in demanding information, as people like Alex Jones and others who you probably agree with absolutely nothing on?
Well, we called for the release of the Epstein files in the Biden administration. We've been consistent all along in saying these should be opened up to the public. All of the charges against Epstein were dismissed after his death. Of course, his associate, Ms. Maxwell, was convicted on 5 charges, as well as another French associate was prosecuted and then, I believe, took his own life. At this point, all the trials are over, and everything should be released to the public in the public interest, especially after Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Dan Bongino, the FBI director, Kash Patel, and the Attorney General himself all stated that this was information of interest to the public and everybody should be able to get a hold of it. So look, there's 2 possibilities here, Jen. One is that all of these people, including Elon Musk, actually know that Donald Trump is implicated, or other people high up in the government or the Republican Party are implicated, and they're trying to cover it up at this point. Or else all of it was just propaganda from the beginning. But look what happens when you use propaganda. You know, W.H. Auden said propaganda was the use of magic by those who no longer believe in it against those who still do. And so you've got millions of people in MAGA who are saying, wait a second, you were feeding us on a steady diet of release these tapes for all of these months and all of these years. Are you saying that there's really nothing there? I mean, that would incline us towards the first theory, that there's really a lot there. There are a lot of facts there that the public should know about. But if it's completely empty, release it in that case. And if there's stuff in there we need to know, then the public has a right to know, as the Republicans have been saying all along. So I guess I do find myself, in the same camp as Dan Bongino and MAGA, saying, let's release everything, as Trump promised during the campaign. He didn't promise to throw 14 million people off of their Medicaid, but he did promise to release the Epstein tapes.
Donald Trump is freaking out like never before because the Epstein scandal has destroyed his entire presidency. He is unable to distract from it, and he is unable to get MAGA to forget or to forgive him. And it is the reason he just made what has been the most insane ranting post I have ever seen, in which he decided that Barack Obama is now responsible for all of Jeffrey Epstein's scandals. It is the most insane thing you'll ever see. We're going to get into it and how it is backfiring. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, Democrats are making sure that Donald Trump cannot get out of this. The reason he's freaking out, and part of that, before we get to the post, came from Senator Jon Ossoff.
President Trump promised to end the wars. He promised to release the Epstein files. Did anyone really think the sexual predator president who used to party with Jeffrey Epstein was going to release the Epstein files?
That right there is why Senator Ossoff is seen as a strong 2028 contender. We don't need to jump that far yet, since he still has an important Senate race in Georgia. But this should be a big issue. Many might not vote based on whether Trump releases the Epstein files he's now hiding. But it does show how Trump has betrayed and lied to voters for years. Even people in his own administration don't trust him and are angry. Before we look at Trump's comments on the MAGA civil war, some context is needed. This clip is right here.
including a reportedly heated meeting on Wednesday between Attorney General Pam Bondi, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, FBI Director Kash Patel, and Bongino. Now, here's how the New York Times described it. Ms. Bondi and her allies believe that Mr. Bongino, who parlayed a He-Man image and promotion of conspiracies into a top law enforcement job, planted stories in the conservative news media, blaming Ms. Bondi for the backlash after an announcement earlier this week that the Epstein case would be closed, according to officials close to the situation. Now, the New York Times goes on to say that an irate Ms. Bondi accused Mr. Bongino of leaking information to the news media in the presence of the FBI Director Kash Patel, the White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, and one of her deputies, Taylor Budowich. Mr. Bongino denied it, they said. Now, this is not the most important part of the story, but I will just pause here for a moment because a personal feud between the FBI director, the FBI deputy director, and the attorney general that is so intense it warrants a peacemaking meeting hosted by the White House chief of staff, who has a lot on her plate. Well, this may be a first, and I've worked in 2 administrations, but this may be a first. Now, according to a bunch of reporting, both Patel and Bongino have been frustrated with Bondi for a while now. In the Epstein case, Bongino felt that Bondi had overpromised and underdelivered, which, to be fair, I guess she kind of did. I mean, she was definitely hyping the revelations up before saying nothing to see here. But behind the scenes, Patel and Bongino may have been more agreeable than they claim. Bondi's deputy at the Justice Department, Trump's former defense attorney Todd Blanche, said in a social media post, "I worked closely with Patel and Bongino on the joint FBI and DOJ memo regarding the Epstein files. All of us signed off on the contents of the memo and the conclusions stated in the memo." And also, a source familiar with Bondi and Blanche's thinking told NBC News that all of them were on the same page on this all along until the criticism.
Pam Bondi might get thrown under the bus. Dan Bongino and Kash Patel might resign. MAGA is turning on Donald Trump. We saw Tucker Carlson mocking him at Turning Point USA. Laura Ingraham was like spurring on the crowd. She was like, "Oh, how do you feel about Epstein? They were booing Trump. It has all gone to hell. And it's the reason we saw the craziest post ever." You're going to want to hear all of it. In a horribly long Truth Social post, Trump wrote, "What's going on with my boys and in some cases gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't think that's happening. We have a perfect administration. The talk of the world and selfish people are trying to hurt it all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with the Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and more? They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me. It continues, and now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? They haven't even given up on the JFK or MLK Jr. files. No matter how much success we had securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have a nuclear weapon, it's never enough for some people. We are about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years, and we have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, which will continue to be our complete priority. The left is imploding, okay? Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending a month going after nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's why she is looking into this as ag and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead, and now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. You have to be kidding me. Is that not the craziest conglomerate of conspiracies, cognitive decline, and crazy that we have ever seen from Donald Trump? I don't even know where to start. Obama wrote the Epstein files before Jeffrey Epstein allegedly killed himself. Hillary Clinton did it. While she wasn't president, Joe Biden, who you said used every tool he possibly could to weaponize the government against you, didn't touch the Epstein files. Like, I don't understand this. What is the argument that MAGA is trying to make in Trump, saying that nobody is talking about it? Everybody is talking about it. It is the biggest story. Would you be posting about it if it wasn't? It is insanity that this is Donald Trump's response, but he knows that everything is caving in. And an important point there is he said Pam Bandy was doing a great job, but Kash Patel needs to go back to work. What does that tell you? I think Donald Trump is ready to throw Kash Patel under the bus. He is ready to throw Dan Bonino under the bus because they have demonstrated that they are not completely loyal to him. They're loyal to the MAGA base, not because they care or have any ideological through line. It's because, like I said yesterday, they need to continue to grift, and they can only do that if MAGA continues to like them. But Pam Bandy, she has completely attached herself to Donald Trump. She is an appendage of Donald Trump. MAGA isn't attacking Pam Bandy. Donald, they're attacking you. And you should be very afraid because Democrats are not going to let up, as we saw from Jamie Raskin right here.
Do you think, I'm sure you've thought about why they did this. Why do you think that Attorney General Pam Bondi is holding back? I mean, they have all promised to do it. So even if it's blank pieces of paper, to your point, why?
If it's blank pieces of paper, I'm certain they would release it right away. Of course, they would have to explain why they were engaged in a propaganda exercise and why they've been saying things, including Pam Bondi, like, the client list is on my desk. And many of these people have gestured at the existence of a client list. So this is a vast public perception now without regard to ideological lines. People believe that that client list is out there. And look, this guy was a real child sex offender, and they ran a child sex ring. So, we know that MAGA, took that ball and ran all the way down the field with it, and they're alleging satanic child sex rings and so on. That has done huge damage to America's political and civic culture. Let's get the truth out there so we can all see. I mean, I've not had a single Democrat tell me they're afraid of what's in there. Maybe there are Democrats who are, confidentially afraid and talking to the Trump administration. I doubt it. Maybe there are some Republicans doing that. And we do know, look, why would Trump not want to release it at this point when he's been demanding an open, complete, comprehensive accounting and release? Either one, he's implicated, and they don't want to doctor the tapes, or at least doctor them any further, because there is that mysterious 1 minute missing of the tape in the prison. But so either he's implicated, or there are other high-ranking Republicans he's covering up for, or there are people on there that he wants to use this as leverage against, which we know is also a big, MO for Donald Trump. He would like to have the coercive leverage of possessing this arsenal of information around them. It'd be much better for everybody to come clean, and let's vindicate the public interest here. I'm going to be asking Chairman Jordan to call for a hearing where we subpoena the Attorney General and Dan Bongino and Kash Patel to come in and tell us everything that we know, because this thing is really spinning out of control at this point, and there's one way to put it to rest, which is to come clean, as President Trump promised he would during the campaign.
There are strange alignments here, as we've just started the show talking about. Do you think Chairman Jordan is going to be open to doing that? You do need them because they are in control, of course, of the House and the committee. Do you think he will?
Well, I know that there are Republicans on the Judiciary Committee who are on the side of Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who've been saying all along that this evidence, or the evidence that was collected around this in several different criminal investigations, must be made fully public. I mean, this is an administration which calls itself the most transparent in history. Whatever you think about the merits of that claim, they should try to live up to it here when they were the ones who were putting this on the public agenda. And now doubt and skepticism are spreading across the country about what is on these tapes. And we want to see them unfiltered, undoctored, uncensored. Just turn them over to us. And I think that's something that Chairman Jordan could agree to. And I certainly know there are Republicans in the House who feel that way.
Let me just ask you one more question on this, because you referenced tapes and there's this minute that's missing. Is the tape and the minute missing where you think Trump could be implicated, or a list of Epstein's where do you think he could be implicated, or you just don't know?
We don't know. We're saying release the whole thing, which was what was promised. Of course, Elon Musk, in his fit of pique against Donald Trump when they had their quarrel, said the reason it's not being released is because Trump is in the files. And he seemed to speak with authority the same way Dan Bongino spoke with authority before this happened, and Kash Patel, and even Pam Bondi herself. They all seem to know things or know different pieces of it, and it should be released to the public. It should not be a political football.
This need to be all we are talking about right now. And I understand that Donald Trump just passed the worst budget in American history. But we have to connect the betrayal of Epstein file to the betrayal that Donald Trump has doled out to 17 million people, losing their health care, people around the country getting kicked off SNAP when he said he was lowering their prices. It is all a betrayal. It is all baked in. We are going to continue to cover it all. Thanks for watching this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you can drop the blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.